Hi, good morning. On this Friday the 13th, I've always considered 13 a lucky number, so you should too. So it's going to be another hot one. Operation Cool Sweep is still going to be in effect. Check in my reading for all the locations. Check in reading classroom. I will post it again here if you need it. Email me. But we have cooling centers, we have water sprinklers for the kids, and that's all day today, at least 6 or through 9 for some of them, through 9 p.m. for some of the locations. Most of our public libraries are cool sweep locations. So um, heat can be dangerous. You don't even know that heat exhaustion is creeping up on you. So don't stay in the heat and be uncomfortable and dehydrating. If you have to be out, if you're working, drink. These sports drinks are good now. Smart water is good. Any of those kinds of drinks to keep you hydrated. That's my little public service announcement for today. So, for social studies, we are going to talk about now America after World War II. So, I'm going to basically give you a summary, and then we're going to dive a little deeper into it as we go over the coming week or so. This is a very, very important chapter on your exam. So learn it, live it, learn it, love it. So, as an overview, we know the war changed the lives of people. Many millions of men and women entered into military service, and they were able to travel and see parts of the world they may have never seen. Um, the war industry, in terms of building weapons and tanks and all things related to the war effort, um, caused Americans to follow those jobs into our coasts, our Gulf Coast, Pacific Coast, the Atlantic. So there was a huge migration of people to those areas. And when the war ended, many people were better off than they ever would have been. And Americans, by large, were better off than people in other countries in the world. And even though 300,000 people died, the country was considered to be on the verge of becoming this great, um, well off superpower. Um, policy coming from the federal government created certain things like the GI Bill of Rights, and it gave money through the GI Bill for veterans to attend college, gave them money to go to purchase homes and to buy farms. There was the creation of this particular house called a Levittown house. That if you drive through Henrietta now or parts of Greece, you can see these houses. They were provided for veterans on the VI bill with very low interest loans. And people were able to turn these opportunities into wealth generating for generations to come. So they were able to build a legacy of wealth, something to pass on to their children, and largely created the middle class that we see even today in America. However, as you know, not all Americans were able to participate fully. Um, some of these GI Bill funds were withheld from minorities. Black, Latinos, Asians were not all privy to those. Um, so, you know, many that participated that were in these historically disadvantaged groups um, they became emboldened and said, you know what, you are going to do better by us, America. So these were full freedoms and civil rights is guaranteed by the Declaration of Independence and by the United States Constitution. And so people, you begin to see the seeds of the civil rights movement, labor movements um, take place. So in post-war America, we kind of thought that World War II, just like World War One, would end all wars and battles. 2 years after the end of the war, though, United States and Russia began having tension that persisted for many, many years. It was called the Cold War, and it was between the United States and her allies and the Soviet Union and their allies. And for the next 20 years, from 1945 on, the Cold War created all kinds of tensions and potential battles. Um, the United States became so anti-communist or against the form of government that they used in Russia that they began to actually spy on American citizens. People were jailed that were thought to be communist. It was kind of crazy. That took place during World War II and it persisted even after. And then after that, the United States intervened in Vietnam. If any of you have grandparents in their 60s, 70s, no, I'm way off, in their 70s or 80s, they could be Vietnam veterans. And this was a very ugly war. It lasted a long time. It was an unpopular war. These were, as usual, young boys that were sent off to fight this war. And also during this time, um, veterans, people of color, began to say, you know what? You sent me on the front line, but when I come back home, I'm the back of the line when it comes to getting a job. The other thing that um, Nazi racism exposed was Americans' own prejudices. When when Hitler was formulating his program against the Jews, he used the model of United States race relations with Black Americans. And so this war really said to America, who is American? If we fought and died to protect this democracy, then should we not be privy to all the rights and privileges of everyone else? So this is all I have for today, which is just an introduction into America after the war. I've kind of sailed through all kinds of different categories of information. We're going to look more closely at them as we go. But that's all we have is just a little mini lecture for today. It is Friday. I wish everyone a safe and healthy weekend. I want everyone to consider the COVID vaccination. If you have not at this time, it's going to be a very long, cold winter. In fact, it's going to be worse than last year because of these variants, and we have children who are still not protected. So think about it. Think about it. So that's all. Um, wish you well. I wish you peace. Till we see you next week.